All right, so Friday night club ladder. We have a standing Friday night race against Coalition U Wings, and this is actually my first time doing it. But tonight we're racing in France on a course that I can't say the name. It's like Cast Pats. I don't know. I'm not even gonna try. So basically, it's a big loop around France, and it doesn't end at the top of the climb, but towards the end there's this big petite KOM. So that's gonna be pretty brutal. Other than that, it's just kind of flat as a pancake. So try to see what we can do to get rid of a couple of their sprinters, because if they make it to the line with us, they've got some really strong sprinters. So yeah, here's kind of some power matchups to show you. So this is top is the Bandits, bottom is the U Wings. If you look at these 5-second and 15-second numbers, I mean, this Luis, I don't know, I mean, he's got a monster sprint. So hoping to get rid of a couple of these guys before we get to the sprint, so we don't have to try to beat them in the sprint. So that being said, let's get into the race. 5 seconds. What's that guy doing? Alright, so I went to start editing this video and realized that I didn't have any Discord audio. I was switching over to some new TVs and I must have screwed something up with my audio, so I'll get that fixed for the next one. But in the meantime, I'll do some voiceovers and try to just explain all the different moves and what was happening during the race. So that being said, right out the gates, out of the pens, Vincent Davis made an attack. Luckily, we were all pretty ready for it, so we were able to cover it. But that kind of gave us some early signs that this was going to be an aggressive race. Going to have to be on our toes and be watching for all those attacks, as well as be making our own moves so that we can try to drop some of their sprinters before we get to that final climb. So shortly right after this all happened, we all got back together. Heath tried to pair his steering and it dropped his power. So he was like 25 seconds, 30 seconds off. Luckily, all the guys that we race against are super cool. If you watch one of my previous videos, the same thing happened in a ladder race a couple of nights ago, and they let Fish, another one of our teammates, catch back on. These guys did that as well, so we were able to all get back together before all the attacks started flying. I dare you to try it again. Okay, so we're about 6 minutes into the race and the action is going to start. You saw right here that Colin Smith made an attack right here, but we were able to close that. Dan closed it down pretty quick, and then I was able to bridge us back up to it. So we decided we were actually going to do a 5-man attack to see if we could, maybe pop one of their guys off the back. I really wish I had audio right here because Dan gave us a nice little countdown and then we all just sent it. They're all here. So that one didn't really do anything either. They were all able to stick right with us. But hey, it was kind of fun to try it. So kind of everybody just stayed together again for a little bit, and then Keith and Dan were feeling pretty good, so they decided to go on a two-man break next.
All right, so you guys have a gap. Yep.
So Keith and Dan were able to get away, and one of their teammates were able to make it with them. Wasn't too much longer, and then another one of the coalition guys was able to bridge up to them as well. So then we had this little kind of even matchup going on. We had 6 in the back and then 4 in the front, so a 2v2 and a 3v3. So knew we needed to kind of shake things up a little bit because it was even and we might lose, outright in the sprint. So started trying a couple of attacks. I thought that maybe I could do something on this Aqueduct KOM, so I tried a move on it. So I laid down a pretty heavy effort on that little climb right there, but it wasn't, it is like it didn't do anything. Guy was right on my wheel, and all it really did was give us some momentum, and then the 6 of us ended up catching and bridging up to the other 4 guys. So now all 10 of us were back together going into that final climb. So, I don't know, probably about a quarter of the way up the climb, everybody just kind of stuck together. But we kind of knew that something was coming, and so I'm just going to speed this up until we get to that section of the climb. So going off the front right there is Jesse Bauer, who Dan kind of knew going into this he was going to be the threat on the climb, and he went all out. He blew our socks off. So after that, we kind of knew that he was going to be gone, and we just needed to make sure that we hung with a couple of their guys, or maybe dropped a couple of their guys over the top of the climb. So not much to hear here, so I'm just actually going to speed it up a little bit. So Keith, Dan, and myself were able to go over the top with only 2 of their guys. So Jesse was off the front, who knows how far, probably 2 miles. And then it was Keith, Dan, and I with 2 of their guys. So pretty evenly matched, but we knew we had to try to drop one of their guys, even though it was on the downhill. So we tried rolling a couple of attacks through here, but nothing seemed to be working. But, had to keep trying. As soon as we get to the bottom of this hill, there's not much time after that to try and drop them. So we just had to keep laying it to them and see if we could get something to stick.
Oh, man.
So I made that little move right there, and it just about took it out of me. I was fried at this point. You'll see here in just a second that I was off the back, and I really wish that I had the Discord audio, because Keith and Dan really gave me that extra push and that motivation to catch back onto them. So I was actually able to, give it an extra little push on the downhill. I caught back onto those guys, and it ended up dropping the other guy. So now it was Keith, Dan, myself, one of their guys, and then another one probably 5 seconds off the back of us. So all of this was happening. We were so worried about keeping him off the back and trying to drop this other guy. None of us even realized how close we were to the end, and all of a sudden we're at the sprint finish. So unfortunately, they were able to nip us by 1 point. Super fun race, super close race, tons of action. I really wish that I had all the Discord audio. I think that would have made this video a little bit better, but hopefully you still enjoyed it.
Hopefully you guys enjoyed watching the highlights of this race. I am going to try and keep these things coming as much as I possibly can. So if you enjoyed watching this, you know it was coming. Like, comment, and subscribe. It will definitely help me keep pushing forward and give me the motivation to make these videos. And also, give me hints, tips, tricks, whatever you want to make the videos better so that I can help bring some fun content to you guys.